Trust. Trust. I mean, you can have faith and belief that there is a larger picture,
Right.
larger organization. You can believe and have all the faith in the world that there are souls watching over you, but do you trust them? Do you trust that what they're sending for you is for your highest good? Do you trust that where you are is where you're supposed to
You
be?
remember you struggled with this.
Yes. Do you trust even though you don't understand?
And Alfred, sometimes we feel that spirit really doesn't hear us.
Yes. Do you
They may be
trust?
listening, they may be listening, but do they actually hear what we're saying?
Yes. Do you trust if you pray? Do you trust if you make a wish that they actually heard you?
Here's a novel concept. I used to say this to Alfred. When you pray, don't expect anything. Pray because you'd like to put something in motion. But don't have an expectation that it returns the way we think it is. Now, you've seen that many times in your life, haven't you?
Expectations. There's a good
Or
one.
limitations.
Expectations are limitations.
Absolutely.
And do you trust that what your limited mind is limitation? Do you trust that the universe has a bigger picture? Do you trust that what they're doing and how they're guiding you is actually better than your expectation? It is a hard thing to trust.
It is. It is. So when you put something out there and you say to Spirit, I really would like to see this or that happen, try very hard to not have an expectation of how it's supposed to look. That's why I always teach you, say, I'd like the experience of the following, please. Rather than saying, this is what I want. When you say, I'd like the experience of the following, please, don't put an addendum to it and say, and this is how I want it to show up. No, no, no. Trust, believe, and have faith that Spirit, knowing your higher purpose, the reason you're here, what you're supposed to be learning, is in fact working on this at this time, even though perhaps nothing shows up for a while. Because if you want to truly believe, then know in your heart and trust in your heart that the other side is working on that. And I know, Alfred, you've had some struggle with that from time to time.
Yes, these are foundation principles. These are where you start. If there is a crack in your foundation, it is hard to build higher principles, to go further in spirituality. That in order to lean over, have a spiritual life, we're going to be going through some basic spiritual principles that really will help you have a foundation,
Right.
things to fall back on.
That's
when
the key
things
right
get
there.
tough.
That's the key right
where
there.
do you fall back on? And trusting that the other side is guiding you to where you need to be, no matter how rocky the water is, no matter how difficult the situation is.
No matter how it appears.
No matter how it appears.
Remember, it's an illusion how it's appearing.
It's a trust that you're going through this for your higher good.
So, Alfred, at what point, I like to pick on Alfred. Alfred, at what point did you go from thinking you know to believing they do? That's a toughie.
Oh, it was very simple, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
I was arguing with Hans, and arguing and arguing and arguing and arguing from my
Which happens
education,
often.
from my experience. And Hans looked at me and said, "Who knows more, you or God?"
That did it right then and there.
And then I happened to come by a quote from Einstein at the later part of his life. Said, "I want to know God's thoughts. The rest are details."
That's exactly right.
So what we're trying to tell you is once you have a foundation of faith, trust, and belief, you can then move on to more advanced principles, such as communicating with spirit, hearing guidance. But through these foundations and trusting, starting out with trust, that letting go, trusting there is something infinitely more knowledgeable about your life, may be one of the most important decisions you can make.
That's very, very true, Alfred. Thank you for that.